Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to take your seats. Again, good evening and welcome to the City of Diamond Bar's 2014 State of the City Address. My name is Jim DeStefano and I serve as Diamond Bar's City Manager. Tonight's address will be delivered by Mayor Carol Herrera. Carol has contributed to the community she loves for many years. She has served as a volunteer and in appointed and elected capacities. Mayor Herrera has the distinction of having the longest tenure of service on the Diamond Bar City Council. For those that may not know, she was first elected to the Diamond Bar City Council in 1995. She has served, and that was after serving 4 terms on the Walnut Valley Unified School District Board of Education. Carol is now serving in her 5th term on the City Council, and this is her 5th tenure as mayor of the City of Diamond Bar, first serving in that capacity in 1998. So again, this is her 5th term as mayor, and subsequently, this is her 5th time delivering Diamond Bar's annual State of the City Address. So, with that brief introduction, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving Mayor Carol Herrera a warm welcome as she walks upon the stage.
Thank you, Jim, for the very nice introduction. And welcome to all of you this evening. Thank you for joining us and spending your evening with us. As you can see, we are taping this evening's program for future broadcast on DBTV, our government access channel, and on the city website and YouTube page. As Jim said, I've been with the Diamond Bar City Council since 1995 and a member of this community since 1966 when I moved here with my husband Art. A lot of positive events have transpired since I first moved here, and I'm very proud of how well Diamond Bar has evolved, both as a city and as a community. Many of you have been with us a good part of our 25 years of cityhood and have pitched in either through your professions or your volunteerism. Thank you to all of you. It truly is the sum of all of your efforts that make our city such a great place to belong to. To give start to tonight's program, I'd like to acknowledge some of our esteemed guests that are here today. And I hope I don't forget or leave anybody out. From the Diamond Bar City Council, we have Mayor Pro Tem Steve Tai. Council members Ling Ling Chang, Nancy Lyons, and Jack Tanaka. Representing Senator Bob Huff, we have Jody Roberto. And representing Supervisor Don Knabe, we have Angie Valenzuela. Representing Congressman Ed Royce, Matthew Holman. From our City Planning Commission, we have Chair Frank Farrago. Vice Chair Jack Shaw. Commissioners Ruth Lowe and Peter Peritino. From our City Traffic and Transportation Commission, we have Chair Fred Mulkey, Vice Chair Ted Carrera, Commissioner Ken Mock, Commissioner Ed Pecci. From our Parks and Recreation Commission, we have Vice Chair Ted Owens and Commissioner Kim Shea. From our Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, we have Captain Jeff Scroggin, Lieutenant Tony Takias, Sergeant Mark Saunders, Deputy Aaron Scheller, Deputy Heidi Villasenor, and from our Los Angeles County Fire Department, Chief Dave Stone, Battalion Chief Dave Tees, Community Services Liaison Letitia Pacias, and a lot of wonderful personnel from Station 120. From the Walnut Valley Unified School District, we have Superintendent Bob Taylor and Assistant Superintendent Matt Whitmer. Members of Pomona Unified School District were not able to be here tonight since they are conducting a board meeting. From the Walnut Valley District Board of Directors, we have General Manager Mike Holmes, Director of Division 3, Barbara Carrera, Director of Administrative Services, Sandy Olson, and from Waste Management, we have Public Sector Solutions Manager, Carolyn Anderson Carraro. Now, did I forget anybody? Don't be shy, stand up. Okay. Well, this is very impressive, and I thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us here today. As you can tell from our theme tonight, in honor of our upcoming 25th anniversary of cityhood, we are reflecting on our proud past and celebrating our progress as a city. And you can see some of our memorabilia back there, which I think staff did an outstanding job in putting together. Later in the presentation, we will be watching a video that does a nice job of summing up our successful growth during these past 25 years. Having been on the City Council for nearly 3/4 of this period, I can confidently say that this success is due in part to the careful planning and spending principles that were put into practice by the first City Council and since maintained by the others who have followed. It is these principles that serve as our compass, make us proactive instead of reactive, and able to adapt and thrive despite the less than favorable economic conditions that we see today in our current day. Like everyone, we remain optimistic that the economy is turning around and heading in a positive direction. But we aren't waiting with folded arms until it happens. During yesterday's City Council meeting, like we do every year around this time, we discussed the City Council goals and objectives for the coming fiscal year and beyond. Economic development was one of the goals we discussed because retaining our existing businesses and attracting new ones, as well as positioning the city for enhanced economic growth in the years ahead, is something that the City Council considers a very high priority. It may come as a surprise to some, but our shopping centers are actually full or nearly full and have occupancy percentages in the high 90s. But since our retail, commercial, and industrial areas are few, what few vacancies we have stand out. For instance, the one left by the departure of Ralph's Supermarket, which, by the way, won't be vacant for very much longer. While I can't reveal the details just yet, rest assured that the building will be filled this year and that it will be well received by our community. and it won't be the only national name brand tenant we welcome to the city this year. Just this first quarter, we've had Nexen Tire USA set up its corporate headquarters here in town on Pathfinder Road. And Saikai Digital, one of the largest television manufacturers in the world, joined other big names in our Gateway Corporate Center. And come fall, America's Tires will establish shop on Cold Springs Lane near Diamond Bar Boulevard. Now that is evidence of Diamond Bar's economic recovery. It's true, sometimes it takes a long time to fill vacancies, but the fact is that securing a quality tenant is not that simple, and it involves behind-the-scenes work, sometimes a lot of work. It can get even trickier when you are trying to attract a high-quality retailer to a fixed location, like we are doing for the former Ralph's store, because of real estate criteria that every business considers when deciding where to locate, such as location, building configuration, and neighboring tenants. Would we prefer not to have empty storefronts? Of course. It would be quicker and easier to allow just any business to come in, but that wouldn't be responsible, and it would do little to bring community-desired retail goods and services and ensure the long-term financial health of our city. Quite simply, quick and careless decisions almost never produce the best results, and those aren't Diamond Bar standards. Take, for instance, the former Honda dealership property. The dealership relocated to the City of Industry in 2008. And last year around this time, the adjoining Burger King fast food restaurant closed its doors. What this did was create a very unique development opportunity because of the characteristics that set this parcel of land apart from all other properties in Diamond Bar. For one, it's isolated from the rest of the city, so there are no land use conflicts with neighboring properties. And secondly, when looked at from a regional perspective, the property enjoys prominent freeway visibility and close proximity to freeway access routes, which will contribute greatly to the success of its future tenant and to the community by way of tax revenue. Realizing this, we knew we had to take proper care to ensure that development opportunities on the site would result in the greatest net benefit to the community, not based on what we thought, but on actual true analysis. A market study for the property was completed this past January, and it revealed that given the site constraints on size, access, and competition, it would not be a good location for a dedicated single-use shopping center. Its remoteness and highway frontage, however, would make it a marketable and lucrative location for an upper mid-scale business suite hotel development. Regardless of the type of project that the City of Industry decides to pursue on the adjoining parcel of land, whether it be a stadium or an industrial business center, the study contemplated all three scenarios: status quo, stadium, and business center. And the result was the same. The highest and best use of the site is a hotel-anchored property. Armed with this study, we are now actively and aggressively recruiting a hotel development that we are confident will have long-term success and also bring long-term benefit to the community by way of occupancy tax and additional customers for our nearby businesses. And at the same time, we are out there promoting Diamond Bar to hotel developers. We are also working on an economic development strategic plan that will encompass all retail, commercial, and industrial areas citywide. The plan should be completed within the next couple of months, and once we have it in hand, it will become a very useful tool to not only identify specific development opportunities to revitalize aging shopping centers, but also create a more favorable climate for existing businesses to grow stronger. That favorable climate will include aesthetic improvements to public rights-of-way near shopping centers, like the one you may have heard are coming to Grand Avenue later this year. That's the Grand Avenue Beautification Project you've probably heard about. These enhancements include additional landscaping, paved crosswalks, pedestrian lighting, gateway features, and other beautification improvements, mainly focused on the intersections of Diamond Bar Boulevard and Longview Drive. The project is set to go out to bid this summer, with construction scheduled to begin in the fall. And once completed, we hope that the ambiance created by these aesthetic enhancements will make this area an even more popular place where people will want to spend their time and their dollars. And here's the best part about this project. It will be funded strictly with alternate funding sources, mainly a $700,000 federal grant. Last month, staff had an open house to share information about the project with the community and obtain their input. And by and large, the feedback was extremely positive. But some people did ask, why Grand Avenue? The federal grant is why. It called for the money to be spent on beautification efforts specifically on Grand Avenue and only from Montefino Avenue to Longview Drive, rather than just making patchy enhancements here and there. We felt it would be more impactful to focus on the two main intersections along this stretch of road. But that doesn't mean it will be the only area to receive aesthetic improvements. Because concurrent with this beautification effort, staff is also working on developing the city's first citywide streetscape design guidelines that will transform the look of the city and make it all around more cohesive, attractive, and welcoming. The enhancements on Grand Avenue will serve as the model, with improvements made to other areas of town as opportunities arise and as funding becomes available. The changes will be noticeable, and before long, they will cover our entire city. This approach of deliberate incremental improvements has resulted in many key milestones attained over the years that ultimately produce true transformation. Take, for instance, our public trails, which are among the most desired and valued amenities for our residents. Every year, we make more and more improvements to our trails. Sometimes they are small, one-time improvements, and other times they are larger projects phased over a few years, and that's because we pay for them using grant money. In fact, just last week, we received news that the city will be awarded a nearly $200,000 grant from the California Habitat Conservation Fund for the development of the Pantera Park Trail. And right out here in Summit Ridge Park, there is currently another trail project underway. This project, too, is being funded with grant monies. Our practice of first turning to alternative funding sources, grants, for example, to obtain new or augment existing funding for projects such as trail enhancements is one of the reasons our finances are in such good order. Because we don't just automatically resort to our general fund to pay for projects without first finding out if we could cover the cost through another means. In doing so, we are able to devote more of our general fund monies to critical areas such as public safety, which keeps Diamond Bar consistently recognized as one of the safest cities in the region with one of the lowest crime rates. Notwithstanding that one crime is one too many, I'm pleased to share with you that the burglaries are significantly down. The latest statistic released by the Diamond Bar Walnut Sheriff Station record a 40% drop the first quarter of this year compared to last year. A large part of the credit is due to our sheriff's captain and his team. Thank you, guys. And is due to their proactive and relentless efforts to rid our community of this problem. But ask any of the members of our public safety team, and they will be quick to point to the community participation as the reason behind the decline. And it certainly is part of the reason. Last November, the city implemented a new program that rewards people for providing information to the Sheriff's Department that leads to the arrest of individuals suspected of damaging or destroying property while attempting or carrying out a residential or vehicular burglary. The program, Report for Reward, has already had its first payouts. $500 rewards went to 4 residents, members of our community who noticed something that did not look right or feel right and immediately called the Sheriff's Department. Their instincts turned out to be right, and we were able to make some very key arrests and also send a clear message to criminals. Don't think of coming here to take what doesn't belong to you. We are alert, we are watching, and you will be caught. I wish we could burglar-proof our entire community, but it's impossible. This is Diamond Bar, and the same attributes that attracted you and me to come live here, the nice homes and well-maintained parks and roads, they are the same things that make Diamond Bar so attractive to criminals, looking to make a quick profit at the expense of all of us. But I'm telling you, what we do and will continue to do is making a difference. The increased visibility, specific areas of patrolling, and quick response times by our capable sheriff's deputies. And equally as important, residents working together with others to keep an alert eye out for suspicious activity in their neighborhoods. It's keeping our burglary rate down. According to the incidents tracked by our sheriff's station, 9 residential burglaries took place last month, the month of March. I agree, 9 incidents is 9 too many, but it's promising and it's progress, considering that 22 residential burglaries we had during March of last year. On this positive note, I think now is a good time for a brief video journey to view early Diamond Bar and back. And so I'll see you soon and enjoy the video. Hi, I'm Mayor Carol Herrera. The city of Diamond Bar has always been a very special place to live, and I have been so proud to call this community my home. Each year we focus on the accomplishments of our city, but this year gives us a greater reason to celebrate as we look back through our rich history that has brought us to our 25th year as an incorporated city.
It's a rich history that can be traced back as far as the late 1700s and even earlier, when the Gabrielinos Indians first inhabited this expansive valley. As the decades progressed into the era of Mexican governance, the first land grant issued would give a 22,000-acre parcel to two California natives, Ignacio Palomares and Ricardo Vijar, who gave the name of Rancho San Jose to their new home. Just 10 years later, Jose de la Luz Linares would be granted over 4,000 acres in the territory and would soon be known as the Rancho Los Nogales, the Ranch of Walnut Trees, where the city of Diamond Bar currently sits. Other major milestones of the region would include the takeover of California as a U.S. territory in the 1860s, which would impact the region and the ownership over this huge acreage, where men like Lewis Phillips would stake his claim and eventually sell some of his land holdings to William Rubottom, who would develop his portion of the land into a stop for the stagecoach lines and give it the name of Spadra. It wasn't until 1917 that the name of Diamond Bar would emerge, after Frederick E. Lewis would give that title to the region after his purchase of this vast acreage. Over 7,800 acres would become his home for raising hogs and cattle. His registered brand for his ranch, a diamond over a bar, would be used on the cattle who covered the rolling hills of the region. As time progressed through the 1940s and 50s, more major changes for Diamond Bar would emerge, as the land would change hands from Fred Lewis to the Bartholomew Oil Corporation in 1943 for a hefty sum of $850,000.
My father was a hard worker, businessman, and we had a little age difference. He was 50 when I was born, so at that time in his life he was mostly concerned with business, managing his oil business, his property business, the ranching here in Diamond Bar and also near Eureka, Nevada. So he was quite busy. Well, you really don't realize it at the time. You know, this is your house and this is your yard, 8,000 acres. But looking back, it was freedom. It was a wonderful place. I had a beautiful white mare, Tennessee Walker, named was Snowball, and we would travel Saturday. I'd pack a lunch, take off, tell my mother to be back by dark, and I had anywhere on the ranch to travel.
More than a decade later, Transamerica Corporation began its plans to create what would be the first housing development for the area, and a $10 million purchase of this large parcel would get the wheels of progress rolling at a steady pace. Transamerica's project was considered the largest of its kind at the time, with the corporation laying out the complete infrastructure of water and utilities among an area that was once just ranch and farmland, and with their vision to see over 60,000 people reside.
It was very pastoral. There were a lot of rolling hills. There was no 57 freeway. There was no 60 freeway. There was no Grand Avenue. There was no Diamond Bar Boulevard. There were just long winding roads that connected the city of Brea to the city of Pomona with these ginormous trees that lined each side, and it was lovely.
I'd like to tell you the story about Diamond Bar, the Live Big community. Diamond Bar for rural living close to L.A., just southwest of Pomona Way. The largest master plan by far is 8,000-acre Diamond Bar.
The pace of progress was beginning to hit a full stride and take Diamond Bar on a pathway of continued expansion. The early 70s created another large jump for Diamond Bar, as the completed construction of a new freeway, new businesses, and another housing boom would solidify the city among its peers in the valley and position Diamond Bar for more growth and a need for more services to assist in the handling of this expanding community.
Well, the Lucky Store, which is no longer there at the corner of Grand and Diamond Bar Boulevard, used to sell horse saddles, tack, feed, so that isn't going there anymore. Other things happened included the beautification, the widening of the Diamond Bar Boulevard.
The mid-70s would lay out a foundation for cityhood with the creation of the Diamond Bar Municipal Advisory Council. This group would consistently address some of the burgeoning needs for this city and give a voice to its residents before the governing body of the LA County Supervisors.
At the time, we had a municipal advisory council with no authority at all, and they would have meetings here, and then they would go down and lobby the county supervisor. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And some people were upset about the number of condos that were being built. At the time, the proposal from Transamerica, from the original designer of the master plan, was that Diamond Bar would have 100,000 population. And today it has 60, and we think it's overcrowded. So you can see that back then there was a desire to incorporate.
Diamond Bar's rapid growth would also have an impact on its need for schools, as the city would see another milestone with the groundbreaking of Diamond Bar High School in 1981. Diamond Bar is one of the fortunate communities to have 2 award-winning school districts within its city boundaries.
The schools have really made this community. We've always had the super schools, and I think in a way that's almost been the most important thing in this community, were the schools, and it's why the type of people that live here is for their kids.
With the 80s providing some of the strongest economic changes for the country, Diamond Bar would also take part in the growth. But after a failed attempt for incorporation earlier in the decade, it was 1989 that the dream of many would finally come to fruition, as local residents voted overwhelmingly to incorporate and become a city.
There was a 10-year effort and 3 tries, 2 at the ballot box. I think people were more aware of what was going on, and the Municipal Advisory Council was more frustrated with the lack of power that they had, because they were only an advisory council to the one county supervisor, and he made all the decisions that was going on. Well, initially we had to start a city hall. We had no employees. We hired a secretary away from the Chamber of Commerce. That's Tommy Nice. And then we had to find a city manager. So we found Robert Van Noort, who had been a city manager for another newly incorporated city and had that new city experience. That was very important because we had to hire an attorney, we had to bring in accounting staff, we needed a city clerk. We had just absolutely no one as staff. So, and the first month, we operated the city on the council's council members' personal credit cards.
In the beginning, we contracted with a lot of other cities for our services, recreation services. We have grown to the point where we now have our own recreation department. We have grown in population to where we have a very fine sheriff's department unit representing Diamond Bar. We have our own lieutenant because our contract has grown to a certain extent. And I think the programs and the services that we offer the residents are very nice. Our city appearance is very nice, and I think the citizens and the residents are very appreciative of how we have evolved.
If you're going to create a community, I think a big part of being a community is having a responsive local government. And as an employee, I saw that as one of my biggest roles, is to show that as a city we are responsive to what the community wants. And that has driven our passion for parks and recreation ever since then, is the service to the community and meet their needs so that they understand or at least appreciate the fact of an incorporated community.
The Diamond Bar Center also celebrates a milestone, celebrating 10 years since its building back in 2004, where activity for weddings, special events, and meetings would be quite busy. Businesses and agencies have also been a part of Diamond Bar's success. Through this time, many well-known names in the world of business have taken up residence within the Gateway Corporate Center. This includes the South Coast Air Quality Management District, which helped temporarily house City Hall for Diamond Bar during its growing years. Public safety has been another core element to the success of Diamond Bar. with our key partnerships with the LA County Fire and Sheriff's Department. Station 120 was our very first station within the central part of town to serve Diamond Bar, while the construction of the Diamond Bar Walnut Sheriff Station has been a prime factor in the city's long reputation for having some of the lowest crime rates in the San Gabriel Valley. The city's partnership with the Los Angeles County Library has been a contributing factor to the focus on education, with the very first branch on Grand Avenue that was on land gifted by the Transamerica Corporation, to the more recent opening of the newest branch, which occupies the first level of Diamond Bar's permanent and palatial home for City Hall. This multi-purpose building draws many on a weekly basis and serves several needs for our community. Now, with the celebration of our silver anniversary upon our community, the future has a bright outlook for what has become a significant city among its peers in the San Gabriel Valley.
You know, I've said for a long time, Diamond Bar's had a great past, and had a great past before incorporation. It's had a great 25 years since incorporation, but I believe the best is yet to come.
I think that it's the people that live here that are the most important. They're the ones that have made the choices, and they're the ones in their participation in the life of the community are the ones that have made this a great place to live.
When I think about the city being 25 years old, I think it was the right decision. I'm absolutely sure. I know the benefits are far greater than we ever expected.
Our state of the city remains very strong, and it is the success of our past history that will be the firm foundation to propel us into even more achievement in our next 25 years. And we will all work together to make that future success a reality. Wasn't that great? Did you like that? We have great staff that puts great things together. So, incorporation took 3 attempts. It wasn't easy, but it was achieved. And that fighting spirit that led to our incorporation is still very much a part of who we are. It's that spirit that often places Diamond Bar on the forefront of big issues that others are afraid or are hesitant to take on because of their magnitude. A particular case in point is the 5760 Confluence Project. For years, the city has been vocal about the need to bring about a solution to address the traffic-clogged and accident-prone junction that often leads to a heavy outpouring of traffic onto Grand Avenue, with motorists seeking an alternate route, which we know ends up being Diamond Bar Boulevard. You've all lived through it. Diamond Bar City Manager Jim DeStefano, Public Works Director David Liu, and I traveled to Washington, D.C. last month to again lobby for dollars and support for the project. And our voice was heard, so much so that it prompted a visit by U.S. Secretary of Transportation Anthony Fox, who on Friday, March 21st, got a chance to see firsthand the nightmare of the 5760 Confluence area that we are all so familiar with. Secretary Fox has not been our only Washington guest. Last year, Representative Bill Schuster, chairman of the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, also visited the 5760 Confluence site. I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge and thank Congressman Ed Royce for his role in securing the visit by Representative Schuster, and also thank Congresswoman Grace Napolitano for connecting us with Secretary Fox. It is a long and meticulous process to get the 57 freeway interchange area the attention it deserves. But our steadfast persistence is paying dividends in a big way. The area has been listed as a critical freight corridor capacity enhancement improvement in the 2009 Los Angeles County Multi-County Goods Movement Action Plan. It has also been programmed in MTA Metro Long Range Transportation Plan, and the SR-60 has been identified as a high priority corridor in both the Goods Movement Action Plan and the Southern California Association of Governments Regional Transportation Plan. Also, the specific 5760 Confluence Project has been included in the preliminary draft of the Department of Transportation's primary freight network, a network of highways established by Congress to help direct road maintenance and improvement resources where they can have the biggest economic impact. We now have funding secured for the first 2 phases of this 3-phase Confluence project, and we will see it move into construction mode as early as summertime of next year. These first phases will concentrate on constructing an auxiliary lane and widening the SR-60 westbound off-ramp to Grand Avenue, building a slip ramp and widening the street at Grand Avenue and Golden Springs Drive. We anticipate these elements to be completed by July 2016. In the meantime, we will continue to lobby and seek out funding to pay for the final phase, which at a price tag of $205 million is the biggest ticket item, and focuses on the construction of the freeway mainline improvements and bypass connectors. Once fully completed, this 2.5-mile area where the 57 and the 60 coexist will see safety enhanced and congestion relieved, which is good news for our city, for freeway travelers, and for the environment. The activity in progress on projects of local and regional importance during this past year has been remarkable, but I am most proud of the manner in which it was accomplished, prudently and responsibly. More than 3 decades after Diamond Bar residents first formally sought to separate from the county's jurisdiction to gain local control and the authority to manage its own funds, here we stand, financially stable and well-positioned and looking forward to the future. Rest assured that this City Council, like those before it, intends to keep it that way. We pledge to continue the practice of living within our means, maintaining what we have built, and pursuing more amenities for the city so long as they bring widespread benefit and are financially sustainable. The state of our city is robust, and the future looks equally promising. This coming year will see even more projects that will change the landscape of our community for the better by enhancing our economic base, improving our public spaces, maintaining low crime rates, and providing programs and services that are valued by our community. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us this evening. Thank you for attending. I will see you all in 10 days. That is on April 12th, which is the city's 25th annual birthday party celebration at Pantera Park. And so again, on behalf of the City Council and the City of Diamond Bar, I thank you for your attendance, and I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. Thank you.